All right, greetings of peace, family. Welcome back to Awoken Minds. Love, joy, peace, and balance to all. If you digging the vibe, you loving the energy, go ahead, subscribe so you can stay updated to the new content. Website is up and running again. I'm still doing some things with it, but it's functionable. Check it out, awoken-minds.com. That is in the description below. If not, I'm gonna have to put that website up in there. So this video is about the moon cycles and the importance of aligning your goals with the moon cycle so you can benefit from all of the universal energies. Let's paint this picture here. So we all know that the moon, the full moon, plays a big effect into our reality. Some examples is this: when we have a full moon, the tides in the ocean rise. Service corporations like hospitals, police departments, fire departments, etc. They all actually prepare to have more people on staff because there's a lot of craziness that happens during the full moon. You know, there's a lot more crimes. There's a lot more sickness and diseases. There's, a lot more natural things that's happening. So they prepare because they know something about that full moon. It happens inside of us. So the question is to you is, if the full moon can move a body of water, which is a tide, can move a body of water like that, what makes you think that that full moon doesn't have an effect in your life and with you and what's going on with your goals, etc.? What makes you think that if this moon is affecting everything? Ancient farmers, I don't know about farmers today, plan their crops and when to plant around the moon cycles. During certain cycles, they plant these seeds for the maximal growth of their crops so they can feed their community, their village, their people in there. So now that I put that picture out there, let's talk about, forgot about this. The woman is a walking lunar calendar. And her cycles is aligned with the moon cycles. And if it isn't, there's something that is imbalanced with her, and her body is naturally doing the best it can to align with the moon cycles. Every woman is different. Here's another thing. I'm gonna tell y'all, hey, y'all gotta stick around and listen to this whole video, because I'm gonna tell you about the man's cycle. So now let's get into the different stages of the moon. If you want to follow the moon, there are actually apps out there. One website to look at is called moongiant.com. You can actually see places and time in the actual stages of the moon. Let me flip in this book and just talk about just these different cycles right quick. And I want just read maybe a little from here or just give you the basics. So the phases of the moon. So we have, give me a second. We have, just going to give you just the phases of the moon and not the actual, I think, how can I say this? Not the actual breaking it down from a quarter to a half to, like going into the crescent. I'm just talking about the basic general aspects of the moon. Now, when we do our goals, if you do magic, etc., a lot of people who do magic do their magic around certain times of the moon cycles, depending on what they're actually attending to do. So the phases of the moon: the new moon, sometimes called the crescent moon, when you can see the very first silver of the light in the sky. This phase promotes new beginnings, new endeavors, and new relationships. It is time for making positive changes, looking for fresh career opportunities, and planting seeds of ideas that will be harvested later. So, when it comes to starting anything new, from a goal, a magic in regards to bringing in maybe money, a lover, whatever you trying to attract into your life, doing things at the moon phase, when it's new, when it's something fresh and new, it's best to do it at the new moon phase when you starting new things in your life. So the waxing moon. In this phase, the moon appears to be growing in size, shifting from new to full as though it's gaining strength. It makes sense, then, that this is a good time to focus on increasing things of your own, your knowledge, bank accounts, relationships. It's a time to think about pregnancy, to increase communications of all types, whether for business or pleasure. Deal with legal matters if you want financial gain. This phase promotes healing. So the waxing moon is actually building towards the full moon. So on the new moon phase, when you start your new goal, let's say you desire to purchase a home, you write that down, whatever, start preparing, you start looking for that home. So during that time when you start preparing, looking for that home, like on that, when you started the actual looking into the house, which will be the new moon phase, now you're starting to prepare and look around for that house and do paperwork, which during this phase, it will be the waxing, where you're building up to secure that home. So the full moon, the moon's most powerful phase. When we see her entire illuminated face, this is a time of fulfillment, activity, increased psychic ability for perfecting ideas, getting your act together, celebrations, or renewing comments to people or projects. The best time for spells of any kind. So when the full moon comes, your goal has become completed, such as our example was looking for a house. You started on a new moon, you start doing the necessary steps to attain that house during the waxing moon, which builds its way up to the full moon. Once the full moon hit, your house will be there. Your manifestation will be there. So now we're moving to the waning moon. Now the waning, is a decreasing aspect. The moon is decreasing in size as it journeys from full to dark. The waning moon is a time of decrease, release, letting go, and completion, and is an excellent time to begin dieting, breaking bad habits, breaking off relationships, or dealing with legal matters. So if you, have a bad habit of eating sugar, the waning moon, doing things during the waning moon to break these bad habits is good. So you will start during the waning moon to remove bad habits, so you could work your way to the new moon. So you can start a new project or whatever. So this is the dark moon. The 2 or 3 days when the moon is not visible in the sky at all. The dark moon and the new moon are often considered the same phase. But for our purposes, I had separated the two. On an average calendar, the dark moon is usually indicated by a black spot on your calendar. However, the dark moon occurs on the day it is marked, as well as one day before and one day after. This is a good time for discarding things in your life you do not want, contemplating what you have already accomplished and what you want to accomplish in the future. An excellent cycle to find time for yourself, or if you're so inclined, an ideal time for seclusion. So that's just the basics of the lunar cycles. So let's do a recap on this, and I'm going to tell you my process and how I applied it into my life. So the new moon, as we were stating, it's a good time to start something new, like a new project. If you have a goal, it's time to start on a new moon. The waxy moon is whatever you have started on the new moon, you start working towards, you start applying action to achieve your goal. So the full moon is actually when you actually achieved your goal. So during that waxing moon, when you was doing the applications to achieve that goal, you started building up to the full moon. So the full moon, you actually achieved your goal. The waning moon is when you have a bad habit and you require to get rid of the bad habit. So it's best to start, let's say a new diet plan if you have a sugar addiction on a waning moon, so you can work with the flow of releasing, like work with the flow of the moon, so you can completely release that addiction. Now the dark moon, as this author of this book stated, which also is the new moon, is actually a time for reflection on what's going on with your life. What have you accomplished? What have you maybe not accomplished? Did you accomplish, that sugar addiction, for example? Like that was the example that I used. And then from that moment, you start to prepare for that new moon, which, they said the new moon is the same, but you start preparing for that new goal, that new transitioning into a better life or a home or whatever. So that's just the recap on that. So how do I apply my goals with the lunar cycles? Well, so I actually last month tried this for the first time. And what happened was this. I actually became aware of the lunar cycles before the full moon. So here's what I did. 3 days before the full moon, I really sat there and decided what goal I would like to accomplish. Which at this moment was to, I forgot what it was, better discipline towards my nutrition. What was it? What the hell was it? Anyway, I had a goal to reflect on what I wanted to release, which was bad eating habits. So I knew on the full moon, so 3 days before the full moon, I waited for the full moon to become over, go through that cycle. And then once after the full moon it started to wane, then I started to break myself off of eating certain foods and worked my way all the way up to the new moon. Now three days before the new moon, I already broke myself of certain habits. I feel I'm still got a few I'm trying to deal with now. Kind of went back, but what I'm getting at is 3 days before the new moon, I had another agenda. So I thought about, okay, I started preparing on what I'm going to get together so I can send out what I need to send out on the new moon. Well, I did it like halfway between the mark of, I did it halfway. So before I got to the full moon, like I sent everything out like halfway before I got to the full moon. So when it got there, it was close to the full moon. So that's how I personally did it, because I actually had started 3 days before the full moon. I had a habit I needed to get rid of that wasn't good for me. I did my best to get rid of that son of a bitch, and then I started 3 days before the new moon to reflect on getting all my paperwork together to do what I had to do. And then I started to do some more research and drafting out where I had to draft out. Then I sent it out probably like 6 days or 7 days before the full moon. About the time it got there, it was close to the full moon. Well, probably about 6 days shy of the full moon. So, but during this process, I learned that I had cycles, and I learned that when I did things with the lunar cycle in general, I had more energy, and I wasn't fighting, like going against the grain. I was like with the grain of life. What I noticed was that I personally have a cycle. I knew I had a cycle because certain times, like when it used to be close to the full moon, y'all, I used to get crazy about 5 years ago. I used to be howling at the moon, like, oh, now. But I used to have some mental disturbances and some emotional things going on, from depression and sadness during the full moon, and just felt rage of anger and sadness, and now, like, shit, I'm good. Like, I'm very aware of who I am, and I don't allow for myself to outlast like that, like I used to. But during this time, I think it was last Saturday, no, 2 Saturdays ago, I got angry at a friend. And the friend didn't do anything. I knew that the friend didn't do anything. I knew it was me. So I got angry, and I got sad, and I got depressed, etc. And I knew that what my friend said to me, it wasn't nothing harmful. It was just something that triggered something deep inside of me so I can reflect on it, right? So it lasted for about a little over a week that I was kind of in this little funk. Not too bad of a funk, but I knew it was something to do with the lunar cycle. So I'm good now, but yesterday I discovered, I'm like, you know what? Men got cycles too. It may not come out in the form as blood, like as a woman. But you think about it, if the woman didn't have the blood that came out, of her vaginal canal, she still has the emotions and the thoughts that come out. Because when a woman first, gets her first period, from what I know, is this. Well, not a woman, but, a child, they get emotional, sad, angry. They got to learn how to deal with this new natural process that's going on in her body. So why wouldn't a man have a cycle? Just because he ain't having a blood coming out of him, he still is having a period of reflection, a period of maybe sadness or anger or rage or see what I'm saying? So that's when I discovered that men got cycles. And I was talking to my friend, and she was just saying, men got many cycles, from sexual cycles, when to reproduce, when to get horny, when not to be horny, when they get angry and things like that. But men have cycles. And a lot of men that may hear this today, they probably, nah, we ain't like no woman. I don't tell you what, you ain't like no woman, but you came from a woman, and you still trying to get in a woman, back into mama. You know what I mean? So mama produced you, so you can go out and do the harder work and reproduce for her. So it wouldn't be so hard for her trying to reproduce by herself. Because in the ancient days, women were able to impregnate themselves, because women got both capabilities. It's just things have changed now, where we're being attacked on multiple levels, from a spiritual, from an emotional, from a mental, from physical, where for a woman to do that, and I say it's impossible, but it's harder just because of how things are set up these days. So may this video serve you to the highest good of yourself. And if you like it, share, subscribe, comment. Any questions about the services that I offer, the products that I offer, hit me up on an email. Visit my website, my contact number on there as well. And as always, love, joy, peace, truth, justice, freedom to all. Peace out and peace in. Peace within, peace without. Peace within, peace without. As above, so below. As within, as without. Peace, baby.